Hello and welcome back to the iShook Experience, where we embark on a journey in pursuit of work-life harmony. I'm Shad, and normally I'm joined by my co-host Benny Rachmanov, who is the CEO of iShook, but Benny is in one of his many meetings where he is slowly revolutionizing the world of business. So alas, it's left to me today, and we're going to dive again into a crucial topic for modern professionals: balancing everyday life. And today we have a very special guest who is standing here or sitting here watching, and I'm going to introduce him in 1 second, because I just want to remind you first that we are all part of the iShook network, the umbrella which involves all facets of media as well. So be sure to check out our daily blog at iShook Daily, connect with us on ClickTalk, check out iShook.me, explore our AI solutions at iShook AI, and join our social media community at iShook with integrated chat GPT. And don't forget to listen to the other shows on the network, like the Daniel Baldwin Show, starring, of course, the inimitable Daniel Baldwin of the famed Baldwin Brothers, as well as Midnight Market, starring Kira Deneen, right here on the iShook network, and even our own CEO, Benny Rachmanov Show, and this one, my personal favorite, the iShook Experience. But I digress. Because here at the iShook Experience, in our quest for answers, we often explore the intersection of investments and technology, science or mindfulness, and personal growth. And we've met with geneticists and marketing experts, legends in the entertainment field, self-made real estate tycoons. But now we're getting back to community and hobby and even holiday-oriented things, where we venture into the pressing topic of how to find balance in our daily life, and that peace and equanimity amongst the unceasing pressures of family life and work and community, and how to thrive professionally and still enjoy every day. So you can't escape it. So we endeavor to uncover the secret. And few do it better than my guest, who's been sitting here patiently while I'm rambling on. But few do it better than my guest today, who I'm going to introduce you. Because remember, though, this podcast is not just us talking. We want to hear from you. So share your thoughts or experiences, your questions. We are here dedicated to build a community. But in today's episode, here we have Joe Fulton. Joe, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you on today. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks, Chad. I hope I can provide some guidance on how to balance your work life and your personal life and all the other things that you do.
Oh, well, Joe, I know you do it better than most people that I've come across. And we've been working on projects together now for about a year. And you do impress me how you do so much, succeed in business, succeed in community affairs and help, and also your family, but also balancing that with being successful in work and life. So let me explain for the few of you out there who don't already know who Joe is, because most of you do, many of you do. And if you don't, you'll want to find out more. So Joe is someone, like I just said, who balances his professional work, his extensive volunteer and community outreach, his hobbies, and his family life successfully, which I'm really impressed by and respect a lot. Joe is the art director and program manager over at Informatic Studio, a role he's held since 1998. Joe, that alone, 20 years, or, whatever, that's a long time, over 20 years. That's some longevity right there.
It is a very long time, and it shocks me how quickly it went. Yes, but yeah, fresh out of college, right into starting with the company and working my way up to basically being a day-to-day running the studio.
That's crazy. So you've had 20 years experience with that, doing creative design and strategy. Your proven expertise in branding and user-centered web design, applications, data visualizations, printed communications, all words I don't know what they mean. And Alva at Informatic Studio. And it's a small business that uses systems thinking and evidence-based design to streamline processes and improve the management of social innovation programs worldwide. So Joe, we're going to start at the beginning, but I do want to know, what does that mean? What does Informatic Studio do?
Sure. So Informatic Studio is a communications, research, design, and technology collaborative. We're basically a design firm who builds custom applications for different organizations to do good in the world. All of our projects have some sort of meaningful reason for why they exist. Either that would be to work with homeless people, to working with the Department of Education to help figure out how to get schools more funding, to even doing things as simple as trying to work with companies to create different community projects for their local areas to help with people. So we've been working on a lot of this stuff for 20 some years, and
Yeah.
essentially it has been a very fun way to work, where you get to actually develop projects that have give good to the world. I mean, how many people can say
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, really. So I didn't realize that it had that kind of component. I knew professionally it was successful for you, but I didn't realize it had such an arm of doing good, such a philanthropic kind of bent to it as well. So that's interesting. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So
we kind of fell into it, truthfully. We originally were just a graphic design firm doing printed brochures and communications,
right.
early website design, which was how I obviously started. I started as an initial web designer, and I'm still a web designer. I still design websites for the company and applications. But as we started working with government organizations and nonprofits, we discovered there's a lot of need for developing these applications that help them, to help them do
Right.
their job better. And that's what Informatic Studio has done well for the past 20 some years.
And so 1998 is when you started with them. And we will get into the balance aspect soon, but I'm fascinated because uh, 1991, unless I'm incorrect, was like the first ever web page. And I just actually listened to a podcast about this, History Daily or something, just today, I think it was. But they were saying 1991 was the first web page. So here's your company 7 years later already. I know you were doing printed brochures and things, but were you
Mhm.
actually working on websites and things back in 98? That's its nascency right there.
So I came up in a time just at the right time. I
Yeah.
would say a couple years before, if I would have graduated college, I would not have had the experience that I had. When I
Wow.
went to college, the websites were rather new. The internet was rather new. It's hard to believe
Mhm.
that that's the way it was. You had email, you had some websites. I mean, my first time looking at the web was using a text browser where it was just looking at the text. There's no visual interface. um,
Right.
we slowly learned in college. I slowly learned, how a website works. Learned HTML code, but that only got me so far. And that did get me a job at Informatics. Informatics was designing websites at the time for different companies and organizations. One of them was a museum website that I was really thrilled with. My first project was for the Carnegie Museum of Art in Pittsburgh.
Oh, wow.
And right away, that's an amazing project. But back then, you didn't know how to design for the web. You didn't know how
Right.
the process was. Nobody knew. Everybody was kind of just guessing. And so uh myself and a couple of my colleagues, who some of them have been with us for almost 20 years as well, um we've just started putting and trying to figure things out. And there's a process to designing a website. It's more than just the visual pretty part of it, where you see what it looks like. There's
Right.
the thinking behind it, what has how you the phased approach on how and what it's going to do. And then, of course, the production of it. And the websites these days are so much more complicated than they ever used to be, but they do
Right.
so much more. And we create these applications that are mobile, that do to work with a lot of different organizations to achieve their goals. So
My goodness.
it's been very interesting ride. And I love it. I still design once in a while. We have other designers that kind of take over that. My role has more become as an art director and program manager, where I'm basically reviewing what they design and giving my
Right.
thoughts and feedback. They also help me grow. I hate to say it, I'm like the old guy now,
Right. Right.
essentially. They help me with guiding with how they think things should work. But then also I run the programs. I make sure that these projects that we have, I work with the clients to develop what we need. I'm in meetings probably half the day, almost every day, where we talk
Right.
about what's currently going on, what's going to happen next. So
So I wouldn't consider you the old guy of the firm. I consider you more like the Don Draper of the firm. You like walk in, you
I'll
approve it
take it.
all.
I'll take
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, yeah. No,
Do
that
you
sounds
ever tell
great.
those? Yeah. Do you tell those kids like, listen, young whippersnappers, in my day, you had to code it all manually. None of this automatic. I mean, it must be the difference must be crazy.
There have been a few times where I have said, well, back when I first started, you didn't have these fancy applications that help you write code and sort of put things together. It was like a text edit program. And for people who design and develop websites back in the 90s, you understand the invisible GIF trick, all the things that make you sound old now when you talk to
Right.
these developers who they didn't even the web they've lived with the internet their entire lives. So
Right. Right.
and so it's funny, like, it makes me sound old, but I was there when it first started. So
You were right.
yeah.
You used to have to code uphill both ways in the snow. The kids never understand
Exactly,
that. Yeah.
exactly.
Wow. That's crazy because the internet is so new that someone who's been doing it for 20 something years is at its infancy, at its nascency. I mean, and you've seen it just almost nothing has exploded. It's like the new industrial revolution from what you've seen to where it is now is crazy just in the short couple of decades.
The amount of, of languages and the the different usability, how the websites go from these big large sites to some smaller sites to the different browser sizes. All that changes constantly, and you have to keep up with it to stay relevant, and also to make sure that you're designing something that can be used for the masses, because it's not just for people who use these standard browsers. We One of the things that we have become very good at is 508 compliance, which is using for all users who have disabilities that might have to listen to the internet. And so
Oh,
everything
wow.
we build has to have access for everybody. And if it doesn't, then we fail and don't do our job.
Wow, right. So how do you do that then? How do you keep up with it after doing it for so long and not just being set in your ways? Because you have to constantly adapt.
Well, that's the thing. You have a good team. You have a good team
Right.
that we work with. You have people that have strengths. My strength is not, I'm going to be honest, my strength is not knowing all of the compliance and keeping up with 508 compliance issues. We have a good front end team and front end person who reads about that all the day. He'll look at all the updates that are coming out and have a good understanding of it. You have a good back end developer that sets up and builds how the application works and develops. And then you also have a good visual design team that helps you create wireframes that are basically blueprints of what the website's going to look like or the application is going
Right.
to look like. And then you put a good visual face to it with a good visual designer that has a good sense of style.
Wow. Okay. And so let's go, because aside from that, this is where part of the balance is. So you were there with the growth of the internet. You also, in addition to your professional achievements, you serve as a councilman for a local borough in Pennsylvania, a position you've held since 2020. You were reelected in 2024. As a council member, I know that you've had significant role in not only just governing the borough, but also making and adopting various ordinances and bylaws and regulations to maintain good government and just to help and protect the residents. You're also the communications manager and chairman of the Park and Shade Committee. So again, as my point here is, you see, Joe, we're already just overloading here on responsibilities he has to do for work and government roles. And then we're going to go into the balance. So I just love, we've already got a little bit of insight on how you've navigated your professional career. So let's go before. Well, I also want to touch base on avocationally for fun. You also, and you've just monetized it, which is very interesting. You have a YouTube channel, which I'm a huge fan of, the Christmas Aficionado on YouTube. So check it out. That's at Christmas Aficionado. You've grown it from scratch, and you've recently had it monetized because you've been getting more and more viewers and followers and things. So that's an amazing channel that I'm a fan of, and that's how I became aware of you as well. So you're doing that for fun, and then on top of it, I know you've been married for 20 years. You have a daughter. I mean, you have a lot of things to juggle here, and you have a love of the 80s, the Star Wars and Star Trek, and of course Christmas and everything. And you don't give up on all your hobbies because you're other things. So you, like I said, more than anyone, really has a beautiful balance and doing well enough where, like, if I want to go out and get the latest whatever Star Wars toy or collectible, you're going to be able to get it, or the Hallmark ornament releases. So that's where I want you to help impart advice to so many of our listeners, because I know everybody's going, boy, I'm just keeping my head underwater. All I do is work. I can't do it all. Or I have family. I can't work. I can't do it. Or they're just going paycheck to paycheck. I talk to you. You're like, here's my big bag of ornaments. I just helped pass a new ordinance, and I just helped build a website and do this. And I have a new show coming out in 1985, which is coming out, right? You have a new episode coming out on your
Yes,
YouTube channel.
I always have new episodes in the works, and I'm always working on scripts and developing programs as or different videos as my hobby. But yeah, I mean, going back to I think the council, thing is, I took that on in 2020. Little did I know when I, ran and, because basically you have to run in 2019 to get elected to start for 2020.
Right.
Little did I know that a pandemic was going to hit. And then,
what a year.
Yeah. And then it becomes a big thing. So, I live in outside of Pittsburgh in a small borough. I did not like what was going on in my little local borough. Some of the decisions that were being made. So I actually did a campaign, and I ran, and I got elected in 2020. And when I got on, because it is a small borough, this is a volunteer position. It is not anything. I don't get paid for this. It is all my free time that I can do to help better the place that I live. I mean, I own a property in this area, so I want to make sure that decisions that are made benefit not only myself, but my neighbors and my friends that live here as well. So I became a council member. They had a shocker, a volunteer organization did not really have a good communication tool. They did not know how to do anything. They did not know how to get information out to the residents. So I kind of took my expertise of, working with informatics to also add that to the borough. And, I've been working on a new website for them. We've created a social media presence because they really didn't have that. And trying to get information out to the borough. And then on top of that, if I wasn't busy enough, this year I joined the Park and Shade Committee, only because I wanted to make sure that we did things as a borough. A lot of places you have fun activities for the residents, and we didn't do anything. There was nothing. Right. So I started movie night. We have a movie night at our park. We had we've been trying to improve our annual picnic that we have. I did a Christmas tree light up, which was actually one of the most amazing nights I had last year. It was the first time
we ever had it. Wow,
we've never had it. No, we're very, very small. I'm trying not to say where it is, but it's a very small borough that really does not have, a lot of funding. We don't have any, we don't have a lot of tax revenue that comes in because we don't have any commercial properties in the area. So it's all, based on the residents who live there. So we try to do things, keep things, rather low. We have our own police force. We have our own mayor, council, and we've been able to do a whole bunch of fun events that I also volunteer to do throughout the year as part of, of trying to balance that life with my work life, as well as how to deal with hobbies and family. So
I'm befuddled here because your life is a Hallmark movie. You're literally the small town hunk who started the Christmas festival, fell in love, and is living happily ever after in this small town.
Well, to be honest, I fell in love before we moved here, but yeah. So,
but when we write the movie, it's going to just flip flop a little bit.
Yeah, right. That sounds good. Yeah.
It culminates at the Christmas festival with your first kiss, after many almost kisses, of course.
Oh, that sounds perfect. Tyler Hines plays me. I mean, I see it right now.
It's like twins. It's crazy. It's like a spitting image right there. Exactly. So this is amazing. So you actually did all these things, and this is just total volunteer because you really believed in your community. But right away, I see balance. So how did you get not even your hobbies yet, but how did you find the time between family and raising a child and your work and this time even as a councilman? I mean, you must constantly be busy.
Well, I that's a good thing. So first off, my kid is older now, so I don't have that day to day where I'm constantly having to play with her and do
Right.
things with her because one, she doesn't want to do anything. She's a teenager, but we still have fun and do things. My number one rule is I never do anything with on council or with work on weekends. At this point, I had to
Oh,
cut that
nice.
out.
Okay.
I probably for years I, I still work about 50 hours a week. Like that.
Okay.
I would say at informatics, I'm doing 50 hours a week. Benefit is after 2020, now I work completely at home. So I never have to go into the office. So before that, I was driving into Pittsburgh every day, driving back
Oh,
home.
wow.
Yeah, that's almost 2 hour commute in total
Wow.
in the car. So right away, you're
Per day.
losing that. Yeah,
Per day.
two.
So you gain 10 right away, you gain 10 hours a week, 40 hours a month,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Holy
right away,
cow.
once we were able to start focusing and working at home, I don't have that hour commute in the morning, an hour and a commute in the afternoon.
Right.
I can get started at 8 o'clock and start working. I always try to take at least a half an hour for lunch for myself, and then try to end it by 5:30, 6 o'clock at the latest.
Right.
And you have to do that.
Right.
I think for years before that, I probably was killing myself because of how much you do.
Right.
You want to make sure things work out well, but you also have to balance it to the point where if you're not balancing it correctly, you're gonna overwork yourself. You're gonna get sick. You're gonna get tired. And we have a number
Right.
of that happen with a lot of our developers. They love what they do so much, but sometimes it's just too. You need to stop. You need to take a break. You
Right.
need to say to yourself, is it going to hurt myself if I work an extra 4 hours? Chances are probably. You're probably going to
Right.
mentally drain yourself, and then you may need a few days just to kind of recover from that. And does that benefit the company and yourself, or is it better to just pause and take a moment to do that? And
Right.
when I when I started working at home, that's when I realized, okay, wow, I have an extra 2 hours now that I can be doing things. So I try to do some borough work in the morning, be with my family in the morning. Once my wife goes to work and kid goes to school, then I can do my job throughout the day, and then in the evenings I will dedicate an hour or so for any borough meeting stuff. But then you know I was doing that a lot, and I wasn't happy because I wasn't doing any kind of hobbies. And I had been
Right.
working on, the YouTube channel idea for probably since 2018.
Oh,
And
wow. Okay.
and only a few years ago, I finally just said to myself, you know, I want to do this, but I always feel like I don't have enough time. So I
Right.
basically I have a set schedule for myself on when if I need to write a script, I have a set time that I do that. I
Oh,
work
okay.
on editing, I work on whatever it is that the part to get these videos done. I really try to adhere to that schedule. And like I said,
Right.
weekends I take off, but will dedicate my time for my channel if I have some time at home. And I will do that. But for the most part, I've been able to figure out a really nice balance throughout the day.
Right. So that's really fascinating because you were someone who didn't have balance then. So if we're talking pre 2020 or 2018 or
Mhm.
so, you were now with a kid who was much younger, toddler through early tween years, and you also had an extra 10 hours a week of commuting. So you've seen both sides where you had no balance, where you were
Mhm.
just working crazy. So would you say, in your estimation, you're finding out now that because you have that balance, you're more rested, you can actually be more productive in less time. Like you won't even need those extra 4 hours because those aren't productive 4 hours anyway. You're just exhausted as it is.
Yeah, I'm finding that, I think, like I said, working at home has really been the savior of myself. I've been able to do so much more. I've been able to really figure out how to go through life without killing yourself, for
Right.
work and everything else that you do. And I mean, I really enjoy my work on council. I really have fun with it. I ran again in 2024, so because I wanted to continue and finish the job. This will probably be my last 4 years after that, but yeah, I mean, it's gotten to the point where I've been able to figure it out and spend time with my family when they're ready. I mean, my
Right.
daughter has a lot of activities that I deal with and work with her on that, and my wife and I try to go out once in a while, and it's all worked out nicely.
And it must be empowering for you too, being in that position in council, because you now, if you see something going on in town, you don't like the direction, you don't like what's happening, you're able to actually have some solid input and see results from it, like all the things you've started.
Yeah, I mean, we basically have a monthly meeting where it's open to the public. The public comes, gives you your opinions, tell you how much either you're doing a great job, or for the most part, sometimes they're not happy with something. And you get to hear what they want and what their needs are, and you try to address it as much as you can. Plus, you also
Right.
have to make decisions to run this borough. Like we have employees that we have to make sure are being taken care of. We have to make sure that our public works department is getting our roads taken care of, and that they're doing things that to keep up with the borough. We have an office secretary that she runs the day-to-day thing. I mean, we couldn't do anything without them, and so
Right.
we have to, one, take care of them, but also make sure that they're doing what they need to do and have the resources that they need to do their job. So, being on council is it's basically a second full-time job.
Right.
Because it is, you have to always be paying attention to what's going on. So.
And how is that with balancing? Because in your town, I mean, you must be like a local celebrity of sorts because you grew up there. You must know everybody. Now you're a councilman. I mean, you have to balance that too with your decisions and people hounding you all the time and seeing you.
I mean, yeah, they do know who I am. I mean, for the most part, once you start making decisions for people, they start to learn who you are. I don't think they knew who
Yes.
I was before then. I
Hmm.
think they probably know my dog more than me. I think that's more why
Hmm.
I'm famous. But I have a wiener dog, and I walk around the neighborhood with. So that's usually
Little
what
Winfred, right?
Winifred.
Winfred.
Yes, Winifred.
Winifred,
Yeah,
yes.
Winifred.
Winifred.
So
I
as
said
soon as people,
Winifred's money.
yeah. So as soon as they see a wiener dog, that's the talk of a conversation where people pay attention to you. So you start to learn how to be from that. But we're not talking about dogs here tonight. But anyways,
But
yeah,
that's
I
my other
mean,
podcast. Yes.
but yeah, I mean you start to learn who people are. You meet people. They come to the meetings. They tell you what they're having an issue with. They may blame you for something, which you have to put it aside. You have to learn to live with the negative comments. I think
Right.
I've done well with that over the years. Being a graphic designer, designing websites, clients will tell you if they don't like your work, and you have to be strong. Will about it. You can't let that get to you, because again, they're giving your opinion. Their opinion may not always be right, but it might be right for them. It may not be right for the overall, way you should do something. But you have to listen to that, and you have to work with
Right.
them. And it's the same way at the work as in with the borough council. And just trying to keep things done. And then, of course, I go home and I get and hear about everything. They complain about everything as well. So I get it everywhere I go.
Right, right. So, okay, so I want to touch on this because this is fascinating advice and something I'm learning. You actually schedule your hobby time. So, if you're working on your YouTube channel, which you love to do, it's a labor of love, you set a time that. Now, I follow your Instagram, which is at Christmas Aficionado, right? Not the Christmas Aficionado, but at Christmas Aficionado.
Yes, I think so. There might be a period in
Okay.
there. I
One
don't
of
know
us
it
should
off by
know
heart.
it.
Yeah, we probably should have thought about looking
Yeah,
that up first, but
I should have. I'm going to look that up as we're talking. Because I know it is. Let's see, profile at Christmas underscore aficionado. Oh, I never
okay, I
realized
wasn't
that the
even writing
underscore.
about the period. So
And so at Christmas underscore aficionado. So when I've seen that, this is what I want to ask you about. I see a lot of times you post a very nice end of day cocktail where it's like you smoke it yourself or it's something and it's usually in a nice Christmas glass, something. That's a lovely way to end the day. And I imagine in your head, you're like, I'm so busy juggling everything, fun or work or whatever, that at the end of the day, no matter what, by X time, I'm going to be sitting on my porch or wherever is having this drink. Do you schedule that as well? Because this is advice I think you can give to everybody saying, if you know at the end of the day, you have this waiting, this relaxation, this reflective period, that you know is going to be a good topper no matter how crazy the day gets. Is that what that is for you?
it's a nice way to end the day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I schedule that. I think it
Okay.
depends on if I'm in the mood for it. But yeah, I mean, by the end of the day, by 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, I will either be still sitting in my office editing a video, unless there's something going on with the family, or I may just go and sit and in front of my laptop and write a script for another video or some ideas. I always have things going. I always have like
Right.
number of scripts running. I always have videos that are being edited at the same time. So you don't want to get bored with something. And it's
Right.
so you want to be able to have options of what to do. And then also sometimes, there's always something to do on council. So I'll, just say, okay, I'll work on this a little bit tonight. But you have to have a goal for each week. That's my main thing. I have a goal for work. I have a
Right.
goal for the borough. I have a goal for my channel. I have a goal for life. Is something I want to do.
Right. To
And if
certain
you
non-negotiables that you're like, I'm doing this, this, and this, no matter what. I'm working on my YouTube channel, listening
Mhm.
to some of your favorite podcasts, like the Christmas Cousins podcast. These are
Yep.
non-negotiables that you have, or watching your
That's right.
favorite show or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do
Mhm.
you have a way that you stay organized and help manage your schedule? Is there a specific way? We've had other people on who do it old school with a notepad. Some use AI apps. How do you actually organize and keep your schedule
Well, we have
in your day?
at work, we have scheduling software that keeps track of
Mm,
all the projects and stuff that are going on, what you're tasked to do, and what the goals are for each week. So that keeps me well scheduled. I have a lot of, uh, we have a lot of people that work on that to keep that thing running. And
right.
it basically keeping things, I have to task people with things. They'll task me with things. So it's always good to see what's kind of going on. Plus, you use other tools like Slack and everything to just communicate with each other throughout the day. Because again, we're not physically in the same room anymore, but
Right.
we are still connected. I can reach out to somebody. We have a guy who lives halfway across the state. He moved over there because we don't need to be at that building anymore, and he has
Right.
his life over there, which he is far more happier than he was probably being in Pittsburgh. So,
Right.
a lot of these application tools and stuff help you keep organized and help you stay communicate with people. And for the borough stuff, we have we have a secretary that helps me keep things going. So she lets me know things that we need to do or things that we need to put together. And then, myself, I just have created sort of like a checklist of things that I'm always working on for my channel. Just like I need to write a script this week for
Right.
some so that I can stay on schedule with, what I want to do. I always plan 6 months ahead. So 6 months
Okay.
ahead, I will figure out what videos I want to put out. So some ideas that may change. Maybe an idea doesn't work out as well, but I have that there, and I have a set amount of videos that I want to put out each month. So I just make sure that I have certain things done at a certain time so that I can get that achieved.
So for your Christmas aficionado YouTube channel, you already have it planned through the holiday season at this point.
Yep, I have it all planned out through December. Mhm.
Wow. Okay. Wow, that's interesting. So
Mhm.
many exciting secrets. I'd love to find out what is, if you want to say, what is the number one big special coming up between now and Christmas? If you want to say, if not, I understand. Is there something you want to
Well,
say
I
that's
guess
going to
if
be
people are
debuting?
really interested in learning about this, I'm planning on doing a series of 25 videos in December. It's going to count down a
Oh,
topic. I'll not talk about the topic because that might change. It's
okay.
just starting to think, but it'll be a countdown of 25 things starting on December 1st. So I'll have a
So an
video
advent
out
calendar.
every day.
Wow.
Yep. Hmm.
Very cool. Okay. So getting away from that, because obviously that's fun, stress-free thing for you. Do you do anything in your day-to-day life besides just your end of day relaxing? Is there a way that you manage stress during the day for people who are just super stressed out, either during the workday or just the week or balancing everything? Are there certain things you do where like this helps me relax? I know for me, I do a lot of outdoor activities, go for a surf, swim, a bike ride, whatever. That helps me manage stress. Uh, so how about for you? Is there some things specifically that you could suggest people try doing?
I walk. I love walking. I have a dog now, and that has obviously gives you an excuse to walk because you have to walk the dog.
Hmm.
I walk in the morning when I wake up. I put on my favorite podcasts most of the time, Christmas Cousins.
That's a
Um,
good one.
but that's my thinking time.
Right.
I get to think
Okay.
about things, about what I'm doing, currently working on. It might be work related, it might be council related, it might be, just anything related. What I have to do to this week to help my kid do for school or whatever it might be. So walking is for me been always been something that I enjoy. I put on my big giant headphones and I walk around and just think about things.
Even in the Pittsburgh winter, you do this all year round?
Yes, pretty much. Yeah.
Really?
Unless it's like if it's under 10 degrees, I won't go out. But
Okay.
I'll walk on the treadmill then. But I hate the treadmill because the
Right.
treadmill you're always in the same place. So
How is Winifred's gait? Is he a slow walker? Those dachshund style dogs, right? He's a dachshund, so they
she,
are not
yes,
fast walkers. She.
she's pretty fast.
Oh
We
shit.
walk a
Okay.
lot. Yeah, we walk a lot. We walk at least 4 times a day.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah. Mhm.
Have you had, going back to your job and your borough work and your other things, have you ever had conflicts come up that you could not balance the two schedules, or because you took on all these more responsibilities once you were higher up in your company, you haven't really had the conflicts? I'm trying to see if we can give any advice for people who are just trying to figure out how to prioritize conflicting schedules and responsibilities.
Well, I have an order, of things that have to take priority. Family is always first, no matter what.
Right.
No matter
Okay. I
so
like that.
something comes up, I have to do that. And then
Right.
of course, my job, my full day-to-day job has to be done before I can do anything with borough council, and especially before I can do anything kind of hobby related. If
Right.
something is, there are times where you have a project that is you have to work overtime to get it done because we have a set deadline. And if you get behind on things, there are times I work on the weekends and I have to do that. I try not to. I try to balance my work schedule throughout the week so that I can avoid that, but it's not uncommon. It's I think most people would find that to be normal, and I hate that would be normal. But if you have a deadline, you can't disappoint the client. You want to make sure that you hit that. But there's ways to work around it. There's ways to work later in the evenings during the week just to try to avoid Saturday and Sunday are like the greatest days ever because you just don't
Right. Right.
try
Right.
to do nothing
Right.
but what you want.
Right.
And so it's really for the longest time I probably worked every day for
Wow.
years. I
Right.
did that. And I finally had to just say to myself, we have to stop that. And so with better management tools at the studio of managing our projects, delegating tasks. I had a hard time for the longest time delegating tasks to other people, but now it's not that I didn't trust them. It's just that it'll take 2 hours to explain this. I could do it in an hour and not have to worry
Right.
about it.
Right.
And that's the thinking, and it's all, and that thinking is wrong. You have a
Yes.
team, that you work with. And if they are a competent team, like the one that I work with, you should be able to hand something off to them to make sure that they can help you get something done. And the same way they'll come to me and say, hey, you know what? I'm having a struggling getting this done because we have so much other things. Is there any way you have some flexibility with working on that? And I'll gladly do it. So
That's so interesting. Actually, my very next question was about delegating and how you do that. So you had to learn to delegate. That's something that was difficult for you at first because you were like, I could, by the time I explain it and check it and redo it, I could just do it myself.
I still have that trouble.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't think anybody can't do it. It's just that, it'll just be easier for me to just do it than to try to explain that.
Right.
And it's hard. That's a hard thing to get over. And I'm working on it. I'm still working on it. Maybe by the time I'm old enough to retire, I'll have solved it and it won't really matter
Right.
anymore. So,
Right.
but yeah, I think delegation is working with a team on to complete tasks, especially at work, is a good way. And then that'll go same with council. Trying to plan these events that we're doing and stuff. I make sure that we have people that help us. It's not just me, sitting there running a projector while we watch a movie in the park. We
Right.
have other people to help make popcorn. We have people who help with pass out drinks or do whatever we're doing for that special event. So
Who picks out the movies? I know you're a big movie fan. Do you get to actually pick out the movies for a movie night in the park? Because that would seem like fun. A lot of power. That's a lot of
I
power.
we I picked out a couple of them, but it's not just my borough. I first started it. I chose the movie just to kind of get started on it. But now we have a committee that the Park and Shade committee, which is
Okay.
not that different from Parks and Rec, if you think about it. We as a group we picked a series of movies that we're showing this year, and we planning out the events, and it's worked out well. We've been that committee would do things like just a picnic and stuff, and then I was like, well, once I got on council, I was like, why don't we do more? Let's try to do
Right.
more. And I've been lucky enough to have people on this committee that want to help, and you can try to delegate. And again, we have events that are coming up, and I was on a text chain this morning where we're trying to figure out who's going to pick up, something for our picnic that's going to be coming up soon, or who's going to
Right.
be running and setting up a tent. All of that stuff, somebody has to do it. And it can't just be one person. It has to be a team.
And it's a small town. So literally, you may have the idea for the picnic and then you're there setting up for the picnic as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. So, in terms of your between professional and governmental work, is there certain achievements, your two biggest achievements that stand out that you can share that you're like, wow, this was really awesome that I did this for work or a website you did or an award you got and even in the borough, which sounds like adding these events may be that. But let's start with your professional life first because your professional life's been at annoying, it sounds like.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So, in terms of that, what are some big achievements?
So for work, it's always certain projects, certain projects throughout the years that you've worked on. There's a program I worked on for the Department of Education. It was called Race to the Top. It was during the
Okay.
Obama administration. It was basically trying to get specific funding to certain school districts in certain states based on, how students fared. And so we built a collection system that sort of took in all of that information. We basically created the program, the way that the program worked, and the way we
Wow.
gathered that information and spit it out to the project stakeholders who knew exactly how to handle that and take that information and do something with it.
Right.
I know the project wasn't necessarily always the biggest thing, but the one thing I do remember, and there's a TV show called Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, and he talked about the program once, and
No way.
I designed the logo, and it was right there on the screen. I'm
Oh,
watching
cool.
HBO that night, and I'm
You had
seeing
no
the logo.
idea.
I had no idea that we were going to do that.
Wow.
And he was
Yeah.
talking about the program, and I don't remember if he probably made fun of it. I'm sure he did, but it was right there, and I was like, oh my god, that's the first time something I've done like that has been on cable TV or whatever.
Right.
And I took a screenshot of it. I shared it with people. It was
Were
a
you
great
watching
moment.
alone? Were you
I
with
was
like your
no, I
wife
was
or,
my wife was with me. She knew I
oh,
had
cool.
designed it, and so when we watched,
Right.
it came up on screen. She goes, "You did that logo, didn't you?" And I was like, "I did." And so
Wow.
like that was a fun thing. It's like that's not always a good thing. But one of the other projects at work that I did that I'm very very proud of is we do stuff with SAMHSA, which works with
Okay.
trying to figure out how to get rid of homelessness, how to get
Okay.
people off the homeless. And I went to Chicago, and I went to these homeless shelters because we were creating a website about this, and we needed to gather resources. And so we wanted to tell stories of people who were homeless. Now they've been housed and they're making success of their life, either by getting living in an apartment that they have now can afford because they have a job and got them off the street, and hearing their history. And so I went there with a team. We took video and photographs, and I got to listen to what they had to say, and we created a website all about that. And I felt like, okay, we're doing some good. We're sharing stories, we're
Yeah.
sharing information. It's good. And then there was another one, and I hate to keep going on this, but the
Oh,
other
it's
one that
fascinating.
was really, really proud of. We worked with the Department of Education again, but the American, and I hope I get this right. This was about 20 years ago almost. There was an Indian organization, Native American organization, that wanted to create presentations on how Native American teachers bring their culture into the classroom to teach them about things.
Hmm.
So I was actually paid. Our company was paid for me to go to all of these different native lands in Canada and
Really?
Alaska and all of Minnesota, Arizona, Colorado. And I got to go to these schools that are primarily Native American children with Native American teachers, but sometimes it's a mix depending on the areas. And these Native American teachers who just doing these fantastic education presentations. Like one guy was a math teacher, and he took the building a wigwam and figuring out how to use geometry to create
Wow.
that, and showing that process and meeting the kids and meeting these teachers and stuff. So those are the kind of things that I really love doing. And I mean, traveling
Wow.
obviously being a good thing, but also learning about this kind of stuff, translating everything you learn into some sort of presentation that people are going to go on the web and learn. From switching to the borough,
But
we
just for
remade.
that, for 1 second, so you got to travel, meet everybody, and then the coolest thing is you actually, for posterity, put it into, I guess, a website for it, right? For
Mm-hmm.
this program, and so it's there, so you could actually afterwards interact, get feedback, get metrics as to how it's working. That must
Yes.
be super rewarding because you don't just leave and it's
Yeah.
over; it's
No.
ongoing.
This is a presentation that, I mean, some of the stuff is older, so it's no longer, the websites come and go real quick. You'll learn that.
Got it.
But it was there. It showed, it was trying to show teachers uh, different ways that they could incorporate culture into their teachings. And,
Right.
and again, this was like late 2000s, 2009s, 10s that I was doing that. And so, whether or not that can go on this day, I don't know. But it was a really fun opportunity, and to actually, that's what it is. Being a graphic designer, as I am, you learn, you just don't design one thing. You are paid and tasked with creating something that will work for anybody. And I
Right.
think that's the one thing that I think that's one of my pet peeves is when a graphic designer says, "Oh, you haven't designed this, well then you can't do that." Well, no, if you're getting the same guy to do the same thing over and over again, eventually he's going to run out of ideas, or they're all
Mm,
going to come stale, or they're all going to be the same thing. So
right.
do you want that, or do you want something unique? And that's what I think a good graphic designer would put out.
Where do you get the inspiration for the various websites? Is that client driven, or do you give suggestions or something you've seen?
Research, I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's the big thing. Meeting, like I didn't know anything about American Indian culture, Native Americans.
Right.
I talked with them. I took pictures. I listened to what they talked about just to try to get a sense of their culture. Because first off, if I'm going to design a website that's going to talk about that, I don't want to be offensive to it.
Right.
But I also want to have a good understanding of it, so that when a Native American teacher looks at that and says, "Oh, they're using a symbol that is, means this," and they don't know that,
Right.
they think it's just a pretty picture. Well, that I failed. I need to make sure
Right.
that I do the right thing.
So you really have to research too, because you're
Mhm.
representing your client or whatever the group is too. So that's
Mhm.
a little stress right there.
Yeah.
Interesting. So politically, with the borough, what is your favorite achievement? Was it getting a Very Merry Mix Up into the movie night rotation? Because I could see that being a big one
Unfortunately,
for you.
there's no Hallmark movie in our
Okay.
movie night yet. Without trying to give an idea exactly where I live, there's a park that is named after a resident who was killed in a mass shooting,
Hmm.
and he not only just died in the mass shooting, but he protected his coworkers. He
Wow.
took the bullets himself and saved their lives. And when I got on the council, they were toying with the idea of renaming the park after him. And so I was like, well, if we're going to do that, we want to do that right. So I asked to be responsible for creating a new sign for the park. If we're going to name
Oh
this,
wow.
we want to make sure people who come to this park know who he is. So I got to meet with the family,
Hmm.
and I got to use my graphic design skills, and I designed the park sign so we could have a new dedication ceremony for him. And
Wow.
the sign well, it provides two things. It provides information about the park, and then information about who he was and why we named
Wow.
the park after him. So I was able to use his photos and all kind of stuff like that. But also, if you're going to have a renaming of a park, you want to have a dedication ceremony. So that same year, I planned with a couple other people. We got his college marching band to show up.
Hmm.
We had them walk through our little tiny borough,
Oh wow.
this giant marching band right through the borough to the park, surprising his parents, surprising everybody who was at the park.
Oh yeah.
He was a big fan of Batman. So I actually found a guy that dresses up like Batman and has a version of the 1989 Batmobile. And so he brought
Wow.
that there, and he drove his parents into the park as like a
Oh my
welcoming
gosh.
thing. We had, all sorts of like fun and games. It was a picnic. We had a dunk tank where you could dunk the council people, where I got
Oh,
dunked
that's cool.
a number of
You were in there
times.
too. You got dunked.
I was dunked a lot. My kid discovered that, you don't
Oh no.
necessarily need to throw the ball. You could just run up and hit the button. And I probably got dunked more times than anybody else. But
That's
I think
hilarious.
that's my biggest achievement. The family has become very good friends with. I've become very good friends
Wow.
with them. I didn't know who they were before. I've lived in the borough for 20 years, and I didn't know who they were
Wow.
until I got on council. And then I met them. I met people that also loved this gentleman who we named the park after.
Right.
And it's been very rewarding. Like that is, to me, is probably, I will always remember that because of how that affected the family. And that's what you
Yeah.
can do good as a council member.
And talk about that kind of pressure. You do not want to mess that up either. I mean, you know them personally, and you really want to honor a
Mhm.
hero like that. So there's a lot of pressure to get that right and to do it their memory correctly and to let others know. So wow, that's
Mhm.
fascinating. But that's something, right? You could always drive by, you could always see, and you know that that's a great memory for them, for the
Mhm.
whole. I mean, that's wonderful. So wow, so that's something. It's interesting. You're choosing all your favorite achievements are nothing personally benefiting you. It's that has helped others. So I see that's a big driving force for you. So
Yeah, I don't like being congratulated on things. I don't, I never like the studio would always say, "Well, we should win awards if we submit awards, a website for awards." I don't want that. To me, it's not. That just says, "Oh, you did a good job," but that's my job. My job
right,
is to do that, and I
right,
volunteered to do things. I don't need to have some kind of recognition. To me, that too is not something that one I kind of hate. I kind of cringe when I get a little overwhelmed with praise or whatever I might be doing. It's like it's let's take it down a notch. Like just like how
right,
you
right,
whenever you introduce me on your channel once in a while, I kind of like, okay, yeah, you don't make, I may have done some fun things, but cool it down
right.
a little bit. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's interesting. Wow. See, I can't get enough of people praising me. I love it. So, feel free anytime. But no, really, that's amazing, and that you have that history of having benefited these people in your community and how you honor it. So, I have one last question for you to impart to the audience, and then I will let you go because every time I talk to you, it feels like 10 minutes. I look at the timer and it's almost an hour. It's amazing. And this one really fast. I just want to know, do you consciously say to yourself, okay, it is now time, I have to now have some balance. I am now just cutting it off. It's too much. Is there a point where you're just like, I need a break? Does that happen? And if so, is it a conscious thing, or you just it?
yeah, it does. I mean, I I have a hard time sitting still. I think that's probably why I get a lot done, because even if I'm watching a movie, like, oh, I'm going to watch a movie, I have my laptop on and I'm taking notes about something, or I'm,
Right,
thinking about something or doing some research or whatever. I need to, that's the one part of my life that I need to work on still. And that
right,
is trying to enjoy myself once in a while, and I do that. I have, I have activities that I do enjoy, and I try to plan that out as much as I can. And then I will, you know, if I go on vacation, I like to turn it all off. And
right,
so that, and I'm working on that. I'm not, that's probably my biggest problem, is that of just quitting and saying that I'm done for everything for today. I just need to do nothing and veg
right.
out. Mhm.
Because you have so many things you have to do or want to do that's hard for you to do that, I'm
It
sure.
is. It is. It's hard. I'm always thinking about ideas of something, and then I have to throw it down. And
Right.
half the time I put something together because it's like I think of an idea and I have to do it, and if I don't get it done, and I will, it'll eat at me.
It drive you crazy. Like the
Yes,
telltale heart. Yes, the telltale
exactly. Yeah.
Christmas tree. I
Hmm.
got you. So here's what, Joe, I want to thank you very much for being on the show. This is amazing. This is a great conversation. I learned a lot. I'm very impressed about you, and I think our audience will learn a lot too. And without being too effusive and gushing in my praise for you, you're a success professionally, one of the pioneers of the internet. Really, that's what I'm throwing out there right now. You're a councilman who looks out for his community and does it, volunteers just to help. You're raising a family. You've been married for decades. You're a true inspiration for all of us. And I really appreciate that. And there are 4 takeaways I got. First of all, this is what we could all learn. Some action insights I got from our conversation here. Number 1, set some boundaries. Try your best not to work on weekends. And often less is more. Sometimes when you're working too long, you're not productive. You're actually getting less done. So sometimes you have to set it and say, I'm not doing the extra 4 hours this week. I'm going to sit there and be more productive during the 8 hours I am working. So don't always think about burning the candle on both ends. I find that interesting because a lot of times I'll get up 3 a.m. going, I'm just going to get it done. Set a schedule for your hobbies too. If you want to write a script, say, I'm doing it today at 5 o'clock, and that's that. That's what's happening. Always, when you're juggling priorities, make a list. Family first, that's one we should all adhere to. Then your actual job that pays the bills is a good idea. And then your
Mhm.
avocations and hobbies after. So those are the 4 major takeaways that I got, Joe. I also want to just thank you for being on here. I know we had a couple schedule changes and you were very flexible and accommodating. So thank you for that. And for everybody else who's watching, check out Joe's YouTube channel. Christmas aficionado. Check him out on Instagram at Christmas_aficionado. That's where he actually wants you to go and interact with him. Don't find him in his burrow and bother him when he's walking Winifred. Let him go. Find him with his other things. So thank you, everybody else, for joining us on the iShook Experience. Be sure to check out our daily blog at iShook Daily. Connect with us on ClickTalk. Check out iShook.me. Explore our AI solutions at iShook AI. And join our social media community at iShook with integrated chat GPT. Don't forget to listen to the Daniel Baldwin Show, the Benny Rachmanov Show, and Midnight Markets as well, right here on the iShook Network, amongst other great things going on. And remember, as Benny, our CEO, said, for true balance, you must always strive to stay balanced. So thank you again, Joe. Thank you, listeners.